Not so much, but where would we be without his great questions?
No doubt, no doubt. And then the 49ers in the other semifinal beat the Trojans 32-6. It's not really any close games in those semifinals, so looking like a good matchup tonight in the 9, 10, and 11-year-old championship. That one will be at 8:45, so a little late-night game. All games, 5:45, 6:45, 7:45, 8:45, will be on Field 1 there at Harders Park. So, it's a little bit out there, but if you're looking to watch some great flag football, get out there and check it out.
If the semifinals for our age bracket was any indication, the championship tonight is going to be great between the Hurricanes and Team Dynasty.
And there's just a lot of great athletes on both teams. Yeah. So, get out there and support these kids. And I do know Jay is making an appearance tonight. He said he was. We shall see. It wasn't. He's
our good luck charm, though, isn't he?
Yeah,
we're 1-0 with him there.
Yeah, that's right. He came to that's right, because he has he teaches a bunch of kids on play the Lightning.
Yep.
That's right. But yeah, all those championship games right there at Harders Park. And then, so congratulations to everybody that's made it this far. And one more game, win or go home. And that's, we'll win or get a ring or win or get a medal, one way or the other. Jumping out of the youth sports side of things, another big overnight trade happened last night. It's been rocking and rolling ever since you had De'Aaron Fox go to the Spurs, and then of course the big one, the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Lakers trading Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis. Last night, Jimmy B, the saga is over. He is officially going to the I was going to say Los Angeles Warriors. The Golden State Warriors, which was the first NBA game team that I ever went to, which was pretty cool. But yeah.
Doesn't that feel like a dangerous move, though, to bring in someone who's been considered
so toxic?
Yeah, bad for the locker room. And then he's going to go to a place that's had really good locker room chemistry, but this year it seems to losing Klay Thompson was a big deal. And also I thought it was kind of funny how this whole, not how the trade panned out, but there was a time last week where we got a notification saying that the Warriors were out of the Jimmy Butler sweepstakes, and now they make the trade for him. And then there was also a fan who is letting Heat players know on the bench, hey, y'all just made this trade. We just fleeced. He said, we fleeced the Golden State Warriors.
Oh, man, that's interesting stuff.
Like, we're at that day and age now where fans are letting players know what's going on with their team.
It was kind of like the AD and the Doncic trade. Is they were getting it on their phones on the bench when it was all going down. But we need to tell Shams to slow down a little bit, bud. Slow down. He's getting it out there ASAP. Toronto also traded for Brandon Ingram last night. The Lakers got a big man in Mark Williams in another trade last night. Several contenders are interested in DeAndre Hunter, and the 76ers veteran could be on the move. Let's see, or that looks like Andre Drummond could potentially be on the move for the Sixers. And then KD, he's likely staying put there with Phoenix, as he wanted no part of a return back there to the Golden State.
But imagine that, though. Imagine, all right, you bring in Jimmy Butler, now you got KD to come over there as well, and wow, that could have been special. But I would like to see KD be able to get one on his own without having to, join forces with the Golden State Warriors.
He's jumped around quite a bit, that's for sure. And it's part of the world of NBA. A couple things on the NFL side of things. Obviously, Super Bowl coming up this Sunday, but the NFL did announce it will host a 2026 regular season game down under.
Australia.
They're getting a game over there.
Pretty soon we're going to have more games overseas than we do over here stateside.
I know, what's-his-face, Goodell said they are eventually going to have an international franchise. And I was like, well, whoever owns that team is going to have some serious cash because they're going to be traveling quite a bit.
I'm not a huge fan of that, but they have tried, what was it, I forget, like the European Football League. That didn't really work out. But, we're in a different day and age these days.
They seem to get a lot of support when they're over there playing, but there's another football over there that just seems to take precedence.
The dominance of football.
Yes.
But what area do you think would be the best place? Like, would it be Australia? Would it be England?
Good question. I would like to think
Germany?
it's got to be somewhere in Europe. Yeah,
Yeah.
like a Germany, something like that. I don't know about France. I don't know how they feel about American football. But yeah, looks like Melbourne will be hosting that game in the Melbourne Cricket Ground. So they'll be playing on their cricket stadium.
In a cricket stadium.
Yeah, I figured they'd be playing in a rugby or an Australian
Yeah.
rules stadium. But the Melbourne Cricket Ground and the Rams have been announced as the home team for the first ever NFL game in Australia. So some cool stuff there coming out of that. Also, it doesn't look like the 18-game season is going to catch any steam, as the NFLPA is not wanting to have that happen. And as we know, it's not just owners voting. It's also the players voting to add another game. The Falcons are also expected to cut Captain Kirk Cousins. So it looks like the Kirk Cousins experiment down there in Atlanta. I guess they're just going to eat the guaranteed money, and
That's tough. But I
is.
mean, I guess after the season that he had,
Yeah.
it's going to be hard to find a trade partner.
that was the thing. He didn't increase his value.
No, he
if anything,
decreased it.
it went the opposite way. So it looks like they're going to cut, and the Michael Penix era in Atlanta is officially going to be underway, starting in OTAs and training camp this upcoming season. The three gentlemen that robbed Joe Burrow's house not too long ago have all been charged with burglary of his particular home. According to a news release from the U.S. Attorney's Office, Southern District of Ohio, Jordan Francisco Quirogo Sanchez, 22, Bastian Alejandro Oriela Morales, 23, and Sergio Andres Ortego Cabello, 38, did pretty good on that, were all charged after an indictment on Monday. All three men all whom are Chilean and believed to be part of the South American theft group, were charged with transporting stolen
That's their
goods.
gang name?
I guess so. Intimidating. Charged with transporting stolen goods interstate, transporting stolen goods or crossing state lines, falsifying records in a federal investigation. Our investigation remains ongoing as these individuals seem to be the alleged tip of the iceberg of the South American theft groups committing crimes throughout our district and elsewhere, U.S. Attorney Kenneth L. Parker said in a statement. We owe it to the victims, whether they are professional athletes or not, to follow the evidence into these alleged criminal networks and hold these lawbreakers accountable. So scary stuff there from Joe Burrow's family when that all went down, as obviously never a good thing there. Never a good thing there. DeAndre Fox had his debut with the Spurs last night, and he obviously excited fans with the action there with Wemby. He had a big night. He had 24 points, 13 assists, and 5 rebounds, and including 3 steals as well. And he also played an integral role in the play that ultimately helped seal the win for the Spurs. Tied with the Hawks in the final seconds, Fox and Victor Wembanyama executed a perfect pick and roll that sent Wembanyama to the free throw line to hit what would be the game-winning free throw. The stellar debut for Fox had fans excited on what the future holds in San Antonio. So a formidable duo that has now been created down there, or over there, I should say, in San Antonio.
And what I like about it is a guy who I've been pulling for to win a championship for a long time, Chris Paul over there with the Spurs. So we'll see how it plays out.
That would be fantastic
Yeah.
if we could get old CP3 an NBA trophy. I don't know what the name of it is. So
Larry O'Brien.
Larry O'Brien trophy. There you go. There you go. Let's see. We got some good guests coming up today. We got Amy Bond. She's she's been on the show with us a bunch before, but they are off to a hot start this spring season, and don't want to spoil it, but she's got 2 of her players ranked inside the top 3 of the world amateur golf rankings. That's Mirabelle Ting as well as Lottie Woad. Lottie still continues to be on the top of the amateur golf world on the girls' side. So excited to talk to her. We've got Keith Fleming coming up from 1240 to 1220. He's got all sorts of Super Bowl stats, prop bets, all things getting you ready for Super Bowl. Is it 59 this year?
Yeah, 59.
Okay. Super Bowl 50.
So next year is going to be
Super Bowl 60.
60.
That'll just
That's
be what?
insane.
That'll be LX, right? L is 50, X is 10.
Yeah, it would be LX.
Because this is LIX. There you go. Those old Roman, that would have been a good
Weird
test.
how great test for Jay.
Yeah.
It is weird how the one, like if you're
Yep,
you
if
have
it's
the smaller
before
one
it, it's
before
less.
the-
Yeah, if it's
like,
after
okay.
it, it's, I guess if you look from left to right, I don't know. Who knows? Makes me think anyway.
We'll go back in time and figure it out.
There you go. The old Romans. But we got Amy Bond, the head golf coach of FSU's women's golf team, coming up next. You guys are listening to The Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents
Wrestling Against Cancer.
live men's and women's professional wrestling returns to Panama City on Saturday, February 8th at the Bay Charter Academy.
Come see the most exciting professional wrestling on the Panhandle.
Wrestling Against Cancer number 10. Proceeds go toward Ryan Holland's cancer expenses. We'll sell you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
More information, ESPNPC.com.
Good morning. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Thursday. A mixture of some clouds and slight fog this afternoon and evening with a gentle breeze at 8 miles per hour coming out of the south and temps near 69. Tonight we will have some fog causing poor visibility and be quite warm at 63. Slightly foggy and partly cloudy tomorrow and a high 71. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Take your next adventure in an award-winning Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Discover the new Kia. We invite you to stop by Bill Bird Kia and test drive the new 2025 Kia. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. The 2025 Kia SUV family has movement that inspires. Drive away today in a new 2025 Kia Soul, Seltos, Sportage, Sorento, or Telluride. Fuel the thrill and command the road in the luxury of a 2025 Kia K5 sedan from Bill Bird Kia. Performance, power, and design built for you. Spark inspiration in the all-electric 2025 EV9. It's a modern masterpiece, fast charging, rugged, and roomy. Bill Bird Kia is the original home for the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by 2435 East 15th Street, Panama City, or anytime at BillBirdKia.PanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust. Your local community dealer is Bill Bird Kia.
Join the best of day winning Inside Drive with all your lines, props, and covers.
Winning.
Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You guys listen to The Inside Drive on this beautiful Thursday. It's been way too long since we talked to our next guest. She's a good friend here at the program, good friend in general, and that's Coach Amy Bond. She's the head golf coach of the Florida State Seminoles women's golf team. Coach, great to hear from you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Ryan. Thanks for having me on again. It has been too long.
It has been too long indeed, but always great to get you back here on the Inside Drive. We'll jump right into it. Obviously, you guys had a solid fall season, but the real deal season is the spring, and it's certainly underway. Y'all are ranked 7th in the country, and as I mentioned with a little spoiler alert in our last segment, 2 of your players are ranked in the top 3 in the world amateur rankings on the girls' side of things, with Lottie Wode still being ranked number 1, but Mirabelle Ting just coming onto the scene, now ranked 3rd in the world. Talk a little bit about the leadership and the play that both of those unbelievable athletes have had in the recent times.
You know, both of them are just extremely special. Special young ladies. Obviously, Lottie has been a little bit more at the forefront over the last couple of years. She's now a junior and really had 3 solid years as a great college golfer. But Mirabelle has really kind of hit her stride, and I obviously think Lottie has helped that, given Mirabelle some motivation to continue to strive to be the best that she can possibly be. But the 2 of them together have just had an unbelievable season so far. I think we were going back, we've been looking over the last week or so. I don't think Lottie has finished outside of the top 8 in the last, outside of one college tournament. I think that was her freshman year at the national championship. Has not finished outside the top 8, and most of those are actually top 5 finishes.
Well, and for the listeners out there, the competition that you guys are playing is, some of the best in college golf. So that kind of statistic is pretty incredible and a testament to how good and special, as you mentioned, she really is.
Oh, absolutely. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, I've been coaching this is my 24th season, and I've never seen anybody be that consistent. I mean, just week in and week out. And she loves every minute of the preparation, likes the process, likes to practice. Just loves every bit of it. So it's pretty special what she has been doing and will continue to do. But it's nice to have Mirabelle to kind of hang on and really give her a run for her money. I mean, Mirabelle's actually beaten Lottie all 3 times they've played together this year in tournament competition. So Mirabelle's 3 for 3. She had 0 losses in the 24-25 golf season. So
that's insane.
That in itself is pretty unreal.
Yeah, no doubt. And I was gonna kind of ask you what makes Lottie so good and so much better, but I think you kind of answered the question a little bit already, and it's something we talk a lot about here on the Inside Drive, is your preparation, the process. And I heard you use those 2 words, and especially all sports that's important, but especially in the game of golf where there's so many different facets of it, that preparation and trusting the process and doing the work obviously is the key to Lottie's success.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she has a very structured kind of game plan of what she's going to get done, and she kind of does it monthly. So she's not going on a daily plan. She's got a monthly plan that's mapped out. So every month I give them a calendar, and every week she texts me on Sunday night, and like, okay, what's the true plan for the week? Because I want to make sure I don't double up on what we're doing, and then I can work on the stuff for me, or can I add this to practice? So she literally comes structured, and like I try to get our work done here, our 20 hours Monday through Friday, and every Saturday she shows up at 8 o'clock in the morning, brings her lunch, is out here all day, could spend 4 hours on a putting green and actually doing drills, not just playing around like the rest of us do, putting 9 holes. Yeah. She is actually trying to get better each and every day and loves every single minute of it. And that's dedication there, and also love of the game.
No doubt. No doubt. And you have to have that love of the game to be successful in golf. But just very, very cool. And to hear, and those who may be listening that have junior golfers, I mean, that's the framework. That's the roadmap. But the first step is they have to truly love the game in order to dive into it and get successful at it. Because if you don't love the game of golf and you have to spend that much time playing it, it's going to be an uphill battle. That's for sure. That is for sure. All right, let's talk specifically about Lottie and Mirabelle. How much does that internal competition, obviously in practice and when they're doing different things, and I know all the games that you set up for them, and then of course when they're playing in tournaments as well, how much do they push each other, and how much does that affect their scores being so low, because they are essentially, they aren't competing against each other, but they are at the same time too from an individual standpoint. And I got to imagine that the competition between those two only makes them both a lot better.
Absolutely. It's actually fun to watch. It's been a fun dynamic to watch really over the last year, because Mirabelle joined our program as a sophomore, but couldn't play her sophomore fall. So they've been really competing against each other for almost a year now. And it's fun. It not only motivates them, but it motivates the rest of them. But it was kind of interesting in Mexico to hear the 2 of them, because they were playing back-to-back. In the first round, Lottie was behind Mirabelle. So Lottie was like, it looks like she's making everything. I'm like, she is.
So now you make everything.
Yeah, it's nice to have that feeling. I like to hear that, too, as a coach, when players are making everything. But, yeah, and then Mirabelle in return is like, all right, what's Lottie doing back there? So they're very cognizant of each other, but at the same time, they're both very good team players. So they're like, Lottie asked me in the final round, like, how are we doing? Like, are we looking okay? And I don't ever like to really tell them, but Lottie really likes to know. And I just said, let's just put it this way. We're not looking up at anybody.
It's a good place
Everybody's
to be.
looking up at us. Yeah. So it's been a great thing. And clearly they're both so highly competitive that they want to beat each other week in and week out. But I think it's a great thing that they're also teammates, so they have that friendship and camaraderie at the same time.
Have you had another duo like these two that are, so good, like two of the best players in the world on the amateur side of things? Have you had a duo like this before in your 24 years of coaching, or is this kind of a unicorn time a little bit for you?
These are the best two I've ever had, but I would probably compare them to when they came in to Frida Schinholtz and Beatrice Wallin. But Frida left after a year and a half. After she became world number one. That was her goal, is to become world number one and work on a few aspects of her golf game. So she left school. So they really only did it as freshmen.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it is so unique to have two players in the top 10 in the world, let alone 1 and 3 at the moment.
That's insane. Obviously, your spring season just got underway. You were talking about being down there in Guadalajara, Mexico. Obviously, you guys, everybody was looking up at you. Started the spring season off with a win. How excited was the team coming back home from Mexico?
They were thrilled. We actually went down and actually defended our title from last year, and I can't even think outside of our home tournament when the last time we actually defended a title back-to-back. So it was pretty exciting. It was a great way to start the spring. 4 of our 5 really played really good golf, which I like to see that, especially early in the season. We had our highs and lows, but overall many more highs than lows. So great start to the year, and it's exciting to start in Guadalajara because the people are so nice down there. Guadalajara Country Club is a spectacular golf course, and we just had a lot of fun and ready to keep going. It kicks off the spring just right.
Yeah, no doubt. Starting your spring season off with a win. Can't get any better than that. Where's the season go from here?
So we have this week and then part of next week. We actually leave next Friday for the Moon Invitational, which is in Melbourne, Florida. So we get to drive, which is good. Take the team van down about 4.5 hours south. Go play Suntree Golf and Country Club, and it starts next Sunday. So it's a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday event. A tournament we won 3 years ago. But it's kind of a national championship caliber field.
Gotcha.
It really is. It's probably the strongest field we play outside of a regional or a national championship. So I'm excited to see how we stack up against the other teams. So we're roughly on an every 2-week schedule, which is good because it gives the girls a week to recover and then start over.
I was looking at your schedule here, Coach, and obviously coming up down there in Melbourne, and then you've got the looks like the Briars Creek Invitational, but then I saw Old Barnwell Golf Club on the schedule there. Looks like the Gamecocks are hosting that one. St. Patty's Day kicks it off, and I obviously used to live in the Aiken, North Augusta area, and when I saw that that particular facility was getting built and open there, I was like, man, that's going to be awesome. So I'm sure you guys are excited to go check out that new facility. Cool to see it on your schedule.
Yes, we actually played the initial event last year that only had 4 teams. It's a match play tournament. They didn't have a clubhouse. I don't think they quite have the clubhouse finished yet.
Gotcha.
The driving range was all dirt, but an unreal facility. They've built now a par 3 golf course, which is where the College Am is going to be held, and they've added 4 more teams, so there's 8 teams. So it's going to be a great test for us because it's a true match play tournament, head-to-head, based on rankings. So 3 rounds of match play and see who comes out on top.
That's awesome. That's all. And kind of a state-of-the-art facility, kind of built with kind of that old link-style golf course in mind. And I was reading on their website a little bit while we were talking. They got a kids course coming, so that's just cool to see that kind of stuff coming to the golf world and recognizing that all these new facilities, there's not a ton of them being built, a lot more renovations than there are new courses, but there's a lot of new green grass stuff happening for the youth out there in the golf world. And then of course, the goal obviously to make it back to the national national championship again. Specifically, obviously, when you guys played the national championship last year, it was at a new venue, not just a new venue, but a new golf course. How much different do you think that the golf course could potentially play, given it's had a whole nother year now to mature? Because as we know in the golf business, when a golf course is new, it's firm, it's hard, there can be some tough lies depending on how grass grew in, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, and we saw all of that last spring. Very firm greens, interesting lies. Golf course wasn't maybe quite ready. I'm hoping it's a lot softer this year. I'm hoping that everybody kind of learned from a setup perspective of how things need to be played.
Yeah,
you never
what
know.
Not to do and what to do, yeah, because that's a big deal when it comes to those greens.
Yeah, because I think only at the time, less than 50 rounds had been played on that golf course.
Wow.
So not a lot.
Yeah.
It hadn't gotten a lot of play, and the maintenance crew was trying to prepare as best they could because you got 30 teams trying to get out there and get around, which they did a really good job with. But I think the setup is a big thing. I think I'd like to see softer greens, just more receptive. I'm all about golf courses being hard, but I think good golf shots should be rewarded.
No
and
doubt.
I think you got penalized if you watched any of it on TV. Sometimes hitting good wedge shots into, especially hole 15, it wouldn't hold and roll over in the water. So that's really what I'd like to see. But I think a year of growth will help it.
No doubt. And that's an interesting point from a golf side of things. You can have a very, very firm and fast green, but it can also be receptive. So when your ball when it's receptive, you can spin it, you can control it, even if it has a larger first bounce. But I know the schedule kind of brings that to a culmination, hopefully for you guys again out there in Carlsbad, California. All right. Obviously, you've got two players in the top 3 in the world, so I know they'll both be getting invitations. But obviously, coming up here, not too far out, about 2 months out, is the Augusta National Women's Amateur. Not only will you have Lottie and Mirabelle in there, is anybody else in the mix to potentially get an invitation this year?
Not this year.
Okay.
We should get some more next year, but those two will be there. They have accepted their invitation.
Well, Lottie had to accept the invitation because she's got to defend her championship.
Absolutely. So I like where they both are, and fortunately, and I'm blessed enough to be able to go again this year, so I'm super excited about it. I mean, let's be real, Ryan. This is the best week of the year prior to Masters Week, which is the pinnacle week of the year. So I'm super excited about it and can't wait to watch them navigate around Champions Retreat and then hopefully Augusta National.
No doubt. So is this something now that you've just got to make sure you're not scheduling any golf tournament for you guys during that week? Just because it's become kind of a routine for several people on Florida State's team.
It has. And actually, after the first year, I have not, because the first year I didn't go because we had a tournament and I sent my assistant and I learned, but now I do our schedule, I look at two things with our schedule. In the fall, I work around the World Amateur Golf Championship, and in the spring, I work around the Augusta National Women's Am. So I think those are two premier events that I want our players playing in, if at all possible, and I don't want them to be stressed out that they're missing something that they shouldn't. So I left that week open, and will continue to do so. I hope for as long as I keep coaching. I hope we keep having players.
Something tells me that you'll still have players being invited to that year in and year out. Certainly a special week for everybody involved, no doubt. Now, if anybody wants to come see y'all play, y'all have a kind of a home match, tournament, whatever you want to call it, kind of in mid to late March?
We do. March 21 through 23 this year at Seminole Legacy in Tallahassee, and that's our one home event of the year. This year we've got 13 teams coming in. The men are actually hosting regionals this year, and we're hosting regionals next year. So people are knocking down the door a little bit to get in, to get a peek at Seminole Legacy. But that's the one time that the girls actually get to sleep in their own beds and go through their own routines here at home, and hopefully the public will come out and take a peek at them.
Yeah, no doubt. Go ahead and see some of the best golfers in the world, and that is not an exaggeration. And with the regional thing, when you guys host a regional, you can't play a regular golf tournament at your course, right? Is that how it works?
So the men have that rule. The women actually don't.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
So we could host next year as well. Usually don't like to see a lot of teams get double peaks at the golf course.
It's the home field advantage that you've earned by your seeding, and Seminole Legacy, is a challenging golf course. So y'all who play on it day in and day out, practice on it, there's such a big advantage when it comes to the NCAA regional for you to be hosting at home. So pretty cool stuff. But Amy, always a pleasure to talk to you. And we're always paying attention here on the Inside Drive to what those Lady Knowles are doing on the golf course. And we're very, very proud, and leave you with a Gold Knowles. And hopefully we'll talk to you sometime, maybe as it gets a little closer to the postseason.
That sounds great. I really appreciate it and appreciate the support, and good things are happening in Tallahassee on both sides of the golf course, both the men and the women, because we do, last plug, we do have world number one on both sides.
Yeah.
Luke Clanton on the men's side and Lottie Wood. So it's pretty cool being in Tallahassee right now, especially as a golfer.
Yeah.
But appreciate the support.
No doubt. We are very, very proud Gold Knowles. Amy, we appreciate you as always, and look forward to talking to you again sometime soon.
That sounds good. Go Knowles.
All right, there you go. We got Keith Fleming coming up next. All your Super Bowl stats and props. You guys are listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents the most college basketball.
Three-pointer,
College basketball is back.
The Panhandle's destination for live play-by-play.
The SEC, ACC, and beyond.
Oh, you saw that coming, Rampant.
The biggest games play right here.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Are payment processing fees eating into your profits? With Bay County POS, local businesses are saving time and money with secure, seamless merchant services. Reduce credit card processing fees and save up to 3.9% on gross sales. From quick, contactless payments to detailed sales reporting, it's Bay County POS. For a free consultation, call 850-359-3906. Bay County POS. Local service, global standards.
Visit the newly remodeled Mid-South Lumber Hardware and Feed Store in Youngstown. They have a full line of plumbing, electrical, hardware, and tools for your DIY home projects, as well as lumber and animal feed. Now offering not only baby chicks and a full line of poultry supplies, but also bunnies and parakeets. They also carry a wide selection of Duplin wines and gourmet products so you don't have to drive to the beach. Come see us at Mid-South Lumber on Highway 231 in Youngstown.
Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. This is not for the casual fan. This is for the warriors. This is for the legends.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
It's the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Don't forget, coming up this Saturday, February 8th, Wrestling Against Cancer 10. All the proceeds going to Ryan Hollins Medical Expenses. That'll be at Bay Haven Charter Academy. We're located in the Hawks Landing neighborhood, right there in the heart of Panama City. Doors open at 5:30. Bell time at 6:30. Little Battle Royale action coming up at 6:15. And I wanted to make sure I mentioned this because we got our good friend Keith Fleming on the line, who was at Raw not too long ago. But Keith, we got DDP coming to Wrestling versus Cancer number 10. Now, he won't won't be in the ring wrestling, but he will be there early signing autographs with proceeds of the autograph signing also going to Ryan Holland's medical expenses. So pretty exciting stuff, Keith.
Yeah, he's probably teaching everybody yoga. Who would have had on their bingo card that DDP is now one of the biggest yoga experts in the world?
Who would have had on their bingo card? You would know that. I did, because I knew you would know that.
I'm a nerd, you know that. I know a lot of weird things. My wife actually was the one that asked me, like, wasn't this guy a wrestler? And I looked into it, and he's apparently helped several wrestlers and other former athletes that have just dealt with awful pain and stuff from the day-to-day grind of, doing what they did for a living, and it's pretty cool. But, DDP was the man in the late 90s. Everybody remembers the diamond cutter and the bang and just a lot of fond memories from DDP. So that's really cool he's going to be there.
Yeah, no doubt. And, and when you said he was doing yoga, I was like, that makes perfect sense because yoga is great for healing and muscles and flexibility because, those guys, as you know, preaching the choir, take a beating, regardless if it's, whatever you want to say about it. It's still physical. They're still jumping and landing and getting their butts kicked every day. And I suggest yoga really for anybody. And if you never tried yoga, I would certainly recommend it. It's not a manhood thing or any of that stuff too. It's a very beneficial practice and can really help out.
It'll wear
with
your
athletes.
butt out too. The first couple of times I did it with Brittany, like I was laughing,
You're
going,
sweating, shaking. You're like, I thought this was supposed to be like relaxing.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah. We used to do
keep my mouth shut.
We used to do a Facebook Live show, actually ironically called The Inside Drive. My head pro at the time, Colby, was my co-host on that, and we used to do it at different businesses and stuff like that, and we did it with a yoga instructor one time, and neither one of us had ever done yoga at the time, and we're in there doing yoga, and we're like, oh my God, we're going to die. But you felt, obviously you were sore afterwards, but you felt good about what you had done. So anyway, that's the end of my plug there for yoga. So let's jump right into it. Obviously, Super Bowl 59 coming up. Coverage starts right here at 1 p.m. this Sunday on ESPN Northwest Florida with kickoff right around 5:30 p.m. Keith, I know you've got lots of trends, stats, and of course some fun props, as the Super Bowl probably has the most prop bets out of any other game that transpires in the NFL football season.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's just because degenerates like ourselves are like, man, this is the last chance to bet on football.
Yeah, let me load as much as I can in there.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like the last hurrah. But again, I just want to point out, I'm interested to see the ratings for this game. I know a lot of people are down on it. I think it's the best two teams in football, and that's an awesome thing. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I'm excited for it, but just some trends and stats that you should know going into it. This is the 9th time in the past 12 seasons a preseason Super Bowl favorite has reached the Super Bowl. It's funny, football is considered the sport with the most parity, but we see over and over again, these favorites reaching the Super Bowl. The Chiefs, if you remember, at 5-1 was one of my favorite preseason future bets. I just felt like 5-1 for Mahomes and the Chiefs. I learned my lesson last year. I'm just going to basically take them any chance I get. We've now had 9 of the last 10 Super Bowl winners covered the spreads, the Rams being the one exception versus the Bengals. They did not cover, but obviously won that game. Since 2021, dogs are alive and well. They're 4-0 against the spread. That's good for the Eagles from a betting perspective. 3-1 outright. And that is a recent trend because overall underdogs are 22-36 outright. Right at a little bit above 500, 29, 27, and 2 against the spread. But again, there's been a shift because since 2007, underdogs are 10-7 outright, meaning they literally win the game, and 12-5 against the spread. The Chiefs have had 6 Super Bowl appearances. They are 4-2 outright in those and against the spread, including winning and covering each of the last 2 seasons. No surprise, Patrick Mahomes is 3-1, both outright and against the spread. And his Super Bowls, all of his Super Bowls have featured a line of 3 points or less. So again, the Chiefs just find a way to win these games. The points total has hit the over in both of the past 2 Chiefs Super Bowl. The total for the Chiefs Eagles opened right at just under 50 points at 49.5. These teams are a little bit different with how they've been against the spread this season, right? The Eagles are 13-7 against the spread this season, including the playoffs. The Chiefs are 8-11. If they win the Super Bowl, they will have the worst record by a Super Bowl champion against the spread in the history of the NFL. The Eagles, again, I think are being a little slept on in this game. I think I mentioned this last week that the 55 points scored by the Eagles were the most in a conference title game since it was created in 1970. The Eagles have 39 rushing touchdowns, including the playoffs. That's second most in a season in NFL history. Ironically, it was the Eagles in 2022 who had the mark at 42, so they need 3 more to tie that, 4 to break it. Saquon Barkley is right at 40 yards short of breaking the single-season highest total for rushing yards in a season behind Terrell Davis, who I think people forget about Terrell Davis.
Yeah,
are you young enough to, do you remember Ryan, how great he was?
Yeah, absolutely. He was fantastic. Fun to watch.
He had 2,476 yards. What was most impressive about he did it in 18 games. Barkley is playing his 20th, so that tells you, again, just kind of how great he was. How about this one? Kansas City has trailed by double digits in all 4 of the previous Reed-Mahomes Super Bowls.
I don't need to remember that.
And we know that they've won 3 of 4. The Chiefs are 17-0 in one-score games since 2023. That is a record. There are 12 wins in one-score games. This season is also a record. A couple of things I think is going to really play out. Number one, how much pressure can the Chiefs get? Their defense was good overall this season, but they've really been getting pressure as of late with 10 sacks in the 2 postseason games.
And always at the
Jalen Hurts,
perfect time, too. Spags always dials it up right at the perfect time.
That's the advantage of Spagnolia for sure. I mean, Hurts is 19th in success rate under pressure. And then Barkley, an outrageous 6.5 yards per carry this postseason.
And he's going to have to do that in this game for them to win.
Don't you? Yeah, I agree. And he is actually averaging more yards per carry than the passing attack of the Eagles is averaging per attempt this season. They were 31st in the NFL at 5.7 yards per attempt. And then again, this Chiefs defense you just brought up, and I agree. I think Barkley needs to have a big game. It's a really good D. They rank 2nd in yards per rush allowed and 3rd in rush attempts of 10-plus yards allowed, which that's the big one because we've seen the Eagles. Absolutely. Barkley has sort of redefined what explosive plays are because we're used to that.
For running backs, nonetheless.
Yeah, strictly from the passing game, and this guy just breaks these huge runs, it seems like, every year. So we know this is a rematch of the Super Bowl that actually started this Chiefs dynasty run.
No holds
this time.
They won
38. What did you say, no holds?
No holds this time.
Well, we know the Chiefs sometimes get some calls, so we'll see.
Sometimes. I'm just kidding.
They came from behind in that one. Another, 10-plus point comeback. The Mahomes and company, 5th Super Bowl appearance in 6 seasons, obviously trying to become the first team in NFL history to win 3 straight. Mahomes joined John Elway for 2nd and starts by a QB in a Super Bowl with 5. Again, he's done it basically 6 years, only short of Tom Brady's outrageous 10 starts. Andy Reid also moved into 2nd for head coaching starts in a Super Bowl. It's the 6th time tying Don Shula. Only Bill Belichick's 9 is behind it. And again, this Eagles team really came on. They're facing the Chiefs. They started 2-2. The Eagles made some real changes, got them to their 2nd Super Bowl in the last 4 seasons with Nick Sirianni as their coach, and they won 12 of their final 13 games. Obviously leaning on Barkley, who led the league in rushing. The Eagles' 3 postseason wins. Barkley has scored 5 touchdowns, and Jalen Hurts has now won 5 playoff games since 2022. Only Patrick Mahomes has more in that span. So I think this is a little bit more of an even matchup than people want to give credit for. Just some strengths and weaknesses of this team. The Chiefs' strengths, we talked about it, the close games, right? They just seem to always win these close games, and Mahomes is just otherworldly when it is a close game in the fourth quarter of the postseason. If you look at these 14 games, when he is down 1 to 8 points in the fourth quarter or overtime, his stat line, 40 of 56 for 552 yards, 6 touchdowns, 0 turnovers, and his passer rating, which is typically around 100, swells all the way to 132.2. The Chiefs have scored on 13 of those 14 drives. And you just mentioned it, and I agree that despite how great Mahomes is in the postseason, despite how great of a coach Andy Reid is, I think Steve Spagnuolo and this Chiefs defense is the strength of this team. They finished the season allowing the 4th fewest points in the NFL per game at just under 20. And again, that pass rushes really came on with 10 sacks in their last 2 games in the postseason versus the Texans and Bills. If you're looking for weaknesses for the Chiefs, there's not really many, but I will say their offensive line is a concern. Mahomes has been sacked 36 times. That's the most of his career, and he's been sacked 5 times in the 2 postseason games. This is a Chiefs team that they had a lot of shuffling of the offensive line between injuries and just bad play. They benched 3 different players at left tackle before settling on Joe Thuney, and since he shifted from left guard to tackle, they've been better, but the consistent pressure contributed to Mahomes having the 2nd worst QBR of his career. And Kansas City's only Super Bowl loss, remember this, in the Mahomes-Reid era, came against Tampa Bay in a game that Mahomes was sacked 3 times and pressured on 55% of his dropbacks. If the Eagles' defensive line can kind of repeat what Tampa did, where they really are pressuring Mahomes, they can do very well, because in their first matchup 2 years ago, Mahomes with a clean pocket versus Philly was 17 of 18 and did not take a single sack. So I think that that's going to be the real thing, that Philadelphia has to get pressure. On the Philly side, their strength is just this team has, got a lot of experience in the postseason as well. Their 2nd Super Bowl in the last 4 years, and they are led by a great rushing attack and obviously that defense. No surprise with how good they are on both lines. They had the best time of possession in the NFL at over 32 minutes per game. They broke a single season mark for the most total rushing yards in a season against Washington. I mentioned Barkley is only 40 yards away from breaking the most rushing yards during one postseason. Total yards in a season and the most yards in a postseason. And Kansas City's run defense, they are very good, but they've been giving up some rushing yards. Remember, Joe Mixon averaged almost 5 yards per carry. James Cook, 6.5 yards per carry in those 2 postseason matchups. But the weakness for Philly, and what I'm concerned about, is they don't blitz much, and they play a style where they want to force their opponent to have these long, sustained drives on offense. Well, that is playing, it feels like, right into Patrick Mahomes' hand. That's sort of the way their offense has been built all season. And then their other big issue is obviously the lack of big plays in the passing game. They thrived in the postseason leaning on Barkley in their running game, but what happens if Hurts is forced to consistently move the ball through the air? The last pass that Jalen Hurts attempted in the second half, where the Eagles trailed by more than 1 score, was all the way back in week 4. So that is, again, just shows how dominant these Philadelphia Eagles have been since that 2-2 start.
Yeah, no doubt. Keith, we got to go ahead and take a quick top-of-the-hour break, but when we get back, we'll dive right into it. Excuse me. Also want to talk about some of these PGA Tour and LIV Tour players that will be part of Happy Gilmore number 2. You guys are listening to The Inside Drive. Keith Fleming on the line. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
100% correct. Is Michigan. The Alabama dude is number 2 with a 99.62. Thank you very much. Know your facts, Jack. Don't spew fake news on the radio.
Fake Michigan news. Keep it real. Your kid is number 2
back,
now
bro.
for Russell.
I'm back.
I'm incredible.
Weekday morning 7 to 9. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good morning. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Thursday. A mixture of some clouds and slight fog this afternoon and evening with a gentle breeze at 8 miles per hour coming out of the south and temps near 69. Tonight we will have some fog causing poor visibility and be quite warm at 63. Slightly foggy and partly cloudy tomorrow and a high 71. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you looking for a place to take a leak? Do you have a truck, tractor, or other hydraulic equipment leaking or not performing as it should? At Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, we can get you back to work. Do you have a busted or leaking hose, hydraulic cylinder or pump needing repair? If competitive pricing and a quick turnaround are what matter to your business, come see us at Reliable Hydraulic Solutions. Or you can give us a call at 850-326-3000. Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, 6840 Highway 77 in Southport. The best place in town to take a leak.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Is your restaurant looking a little tired from the long off season? Is your office a little offish? Start the new year off right by giving them a fresh start. Fresh Start Cleaning is now accepting new clients. Ask about their complimentary hood cleaning services. Fresh Start Cleaning. Get clean again with Fresh Start. Call 850-771-6917, 771-6917, and ask about their complimentary hood cleaning services.
And now, the afternoon delight debrief with the three degenerates from the Inside Drive. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios.
Afternoon delight.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon delight.
And we are back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City and Panama City Beach, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch every day. Coach James Hale Show from 7 to 9, Inside Drive from 11 to 1, and of course the Afternoon Underdogs from 4 to 6 p.m. You can also download our free mobile app on the Google Play or Apple Store. 104.3 is all you got to search up. And of course, you can also head over to ESPNPC.com. If you're looking for a new streaming service, I think Hulu just went up too as well. So if you're want to save some money for probably even more than you got right now on your streaming service, I can guarantee that with all the NHL games. NFL season's over, but for next year, basketball games, all that stuff, that is Lucid Streams TV. You can check out ESPNPC.com, look for that TV channel icon, follow the prompts to sign up. I guarantee you'll save some serious cash and won't be disappointed. And then, of course, got to give a shout out to Bill Kramer, GM, and Kramer Marine and Outdoor right there at the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd Street. Tons of new vehicles in stock, express service, regular service, doesn't have to be a GM car. Just take it by Bill Kramer GM. And of course, the weather's been fantastic down here in the Panhandle ever since Snowmageddon. And if you need your boat fixed to get back out on the water, only one place to go. And you don't even have to go there. They'll come to you with their great mobile service. They sell the Seabourn, Spider, and Sundance family. That's all CRI. In addition to those, they also sell
Skeeter.
Jay just runs around saying Skeeter all day long. I hope so. I sure hope so. But anyway, that's Kramer Marine and Outdoor. Both of those great establishments located right there at the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd Street. All right, Keith, before we jump right back into it, they kind of Netflix threw out a little bit of a preview, behind-the-scenes look of the new Happy Gilmore 2 that I believe is supposed to come out sometime in July this summer, if I'm not mistaken. But as you sent us as well, it was a pretty cool little behind-the-scenes look. But they got Rory McIlroy, Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, Bubba Watson, those last three names all on the LIV Tour, Justin Thomas, Keegan Bradley, Jordan Spieth, Ricky Fowler, and Colin Morikawa. In addition, which this is my favorite one, that's why I left it to the last, Will Zalatoris, because so many people joked when Will Zalatoris came onto the scene that he looked just like Happy Gilmore's caddy. So it's going to be pretty cool. Saw him wearing those gold jackets and the little behind-the-scenes look. But, if anybody can bring the PGA Tour and the LIV Tour together, Adam Sandler has got to be that guy. So pretty cool. You can go check that out.
Did you hear about Tiger?
No. Is he making a cameo?
No, supposedly he is going to play Chubbs' brother.
Oh.
Because, Chubbs passed away.
Yeah. The Gator got him.
And I think that's going to be like the mentor to Happy in this movie. That's the rumor that I've heard. And
I wonder how much that cost.
Right?
Or Happy Gilmore Productions, yeah. Oh man, that would be something. That'd be something to see Tiger make his first movie appearance. But it'd be hard for everybody not to think of him as Tiger Woods and actually be some kind of different character. But.
Right, that's what I was saying. I also am very concerned about this movie. Happy Gilmore is one of my favorite movies of all time.
So much hype to live up to, yeah.
That and just Sandler, if we're being honest, he had, I feel like, the greatest run of comedy movies of all time. If you go from when Billy Madison came out, even through maybe Big Daddy, but they've not been great lately. The last couple of is actually the best movies that I've really enjoyed of his. And the last 5-10 years have been serious ones, like Uncut Gems and his new basketball movie on Netflix are both really good, but his comedies have left a little to be desired. But I'm hopeful. We'll see.
Well, it seems like we're kind of trending back to it's okay to be politically incorrect in comedy again, and that's kind of what those movies were, especially along with the show Seinfeld. And it was all about political incorrectness because it's funny. It is. If you get offended, you get offended. That's on your own thing. But I feel like he kind of had to go with the trends with his movies and kind of dial it back a little bit. I don't know. That's just my opinion anyway. But Happy Gilmore 2 is certainly come to fruition, and hopefully it lives up to all the hype. All right, Keith, let's jump right.
Shooter's going to be in it. That's all that really matters.
That's all that matters.
The real star of that movie is Shooter McGavin.
Shooter.
I stand by that.
Shooter.
This is Shooter's tour. He paid his dues.
Yeah. Gold jacket, green jacket, who gives a...
And he's justified for firing that caddy. A 5-iron, really, he should be fired.
Yeah, it's caddy's job to club him right. That's just real life right there. That's just real life.
Yeah, awful club selection.
Yes, terrible. But anyway, let's jump right back into Super Bowl 59 coming up this Sunday. It'll be right here on ESPN in Northwest Florida.
All right, let's do a little DK. Obviously we can only do the showdown lineup, but I've got one for you. With obviously this big of a field, you've got to differentiate yourself. I am going with the strategy of taking a player that is very cheap that I think not a lot of people are going to be on, and my captain, that's going to allow me to then put a good bit of these other top players in it. But it's Noah Gray, the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's my captain. That's only $4,200. Again, I don't think many people will have him.
He's going to get plenty of targets, too.
That's what I'm thinking. He scored 10-plus points 4 times this season on DK, 4 points or more in 11. So, he should get at least something.
Well, they're going to be focusing on Kelsey, too. And that's what who did they play in the AFC Championship? Why am I drawing a huge blank?
The Bills?
The Bills really keyed in on Kelsey, and he only, I think, had 2 catches for 17 yards or something like that. So I was actually going to ask you, and we can get to it, I can ask it later. I was just going to ask you, how important is Kelsey to winning the Super Bowl for the Chiefs? And I really don't think he's as important as he used to be. Obviously, he needs to have some big plays, but I don't think Kansas City needs him like they did in the past to win. But anyway, go back to your lineup. I'm sorry.
I completely agree. Now, this is an Eagles defense that overall has been good versus tight ends. They rank 9th on DK. But remember, in the postseason, the Commanders and Rams tight ends combined for 23 receptions on 31 targets for 201 yards. I can't believe that Andy Reid has seen the success that both of them had moving the ball with the tight ends and is not going to then go ahead and say, all right, let's do the same. And to your point, I agree. They're going to try to take away Travis Kelce. I don't think he's this important part. I think you're completely right about that as well. But that doesn't mean you still want to take away that security blanket.
Yeah.
And with the lack of target volume to any player not named Xavier Worthy at the wide receiver position, I just think that either a Pirine or a Gray, one of these backs or tight ends has a great opportunity to get loose. And again, with 23 receptions for 201 yards in just their last 2 playoff games, I think Noah Gray is that option. I wanted to go against Saquon Barkley, but I just can't at $12K. You can make a real case it's the best rush defense Barkley's faced all season. They are definitely not the Rams and Commanders who both struggle.
No doubt.
But I just can't sit him. He's having, the greatest postseason by a running back in NFL history.
No, if he's going to be, he has to be successful for the Eagles to win.
I completely agree. And again, this postseason, 442 yards, 6.7 yards per carry. The big deal, again, is just like the success that James Cook and Joe Mixon had. No offense to either one of those guys. James Cook, go Dogs, but Barkley's a whole nother animal. A.J. Brown is my favorite play probably from the Eagles this week, 9,600. I know that the first 2 weeks it looked rough. He only had 3 receptions for 24 yards. Last week he broke out 6 for 96 and a touchdown. That is ironically the exact same stat line, 6 for 96 and a touchdown that he had versus the Kansas City Chiefs in their previous Super Bowl matchup. The big thing, the Chiefs run man at one of the highest rates in the league, and they also press at one of the highest rates in the league. A.J. Brown kills both of those. Versus man, he is 5th among wide receivers in target rate and 8th in fantasy points per target. I actually think A.J. Brown is the key to the Eagles winning this game. They need to get him going. That's going to then allow, Barkley to have more lanes because the Chiefs can't kind of sneak up because I think he can beat those corners one-on-one. Dallas Goedert is the other Eagle that I have in this lineup, 5,800. The Chiefs are just awful versus tight ends. We've talked about this all season. On average, tight ends catch 6 passes for almost 70 yards. And in the 2 postseason games so far, they've allowed 8 receptions for 85 yards. Goddard has now caught 4 more passes in his last 4, seeing 24 targets in that span. And he's averaging almost 14 points per game just in the postseason on DK. I can't sit Patrick Mahomes at 10K. I just can't. I can't believe he's $2,000 less than Barkley, and I'm even more shocked that he's $400 less than Hurts, especially with his track record in the postseason. He's thrown 5 passing touchdowns, 0 turnovers in his last 2 Super Bowl appearances. He's coming off his highest DK scoring performance of the entire season in the AFC title game at 31 points. And if you look at it, he has really came on as the season went along. In his first 14 games, he only scored 20 or more points on DK twice. He's now done that in 3 of his last 4 games. So I think Mahomes is there. And then Xavier Worthy, again, I think is just a must-play at 8K. He didn't catch or have a game with 4 or more than 4 receptions in any of his first 11. He has now caught 5 or more passes in his last 7. So really coming around. And in the 2 postseason games, he's averaging 8 targets/touches per, 5.5 receptions, almost 70 yards receiving. He has a touchdown. And then the Eagles slot corner, Cooper DeJean, has had some real issues in pass coverage this postseason, right? And Worthy, among all the Chiefs, lines up in the slot the most. More importantly, he's lined up 14 more times than any other wide receiver in their 2 postseason games. So I think he is going to be a focal point for Mahomes in that passing offense to kind of get it going. And he's so good after the catch, which this is an Eagles team that you actually can do a lot in terms of yak and yardage after contact, all that kind of stuff. And that's not their running backs, right? Like, they're not going to make explosive plays. I think of Xavier Worthy, who they might use in the run game or do some of these screens and passes behind the line. I think he's a great play.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And we've talked about it all season long. Like, they certainly used him a little more, it seemed like, in the AFC Championship game, but didn't really use a whole lot of them during the season consistently. So I would expect, I feel like Andy Reid's got a secret playbook that he kind of breaks out for these
right.
big time games. I mean, you remember against the Eagles 2 years ago, they did that little ring around the rosy play and ended up working. And then of course they do those wide receiver return plays pretty consistently. They're just almost impossible to defend, especially when you got guys like Xavier Worthy out there that are just ridiculously fast. So obviously, they'll need a lot of that. And of course, too, got to make sure those offensive holding calls are getting called as well. I still have PTSD from the Super Bowl last year against the Niners, but anyway. So yeah, great lineup there, and really, I just pulled up Hard Rock while you were talking. They've done a fantastic job making it super easy, of course they did, to get all those different prop bets and all that wonderful stuff in there. And Hard Rock's got the Chiefs at -1 right now. But I know you do want to talk about some of the prop bets going on as well in the Super Bowl. As like you said, it's the last hurrah for all those degenerate gamblers out there to get as much action as they can in the world of NFL football anyway.
Yeah, I went through the litany of them, and there's 10 that I've identified that I really like. The first is for Saquon Barkley and Kareem Hunt to combine for 200-plus rushing yards. That is 3-to-1 odds. I mean, it's a simple thing. If Hunt and Barkley are currently averaging over 200 yards per game in the postseason, if you just take what they're averaging in rushing yards, the fact that Pacheco has been not only not effective, but he hasn't seen more than 5 carries in a game this postseason. They have kind of gone back to Kareem Hunt. We know Barkley gets a lion's share, so I like that one. This is another one I really like. Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley to score 2 or more rushing touchdowns. That's plus 270. These guys have done that 11 times this season.
Well, 11.
So
that's wild.
I mean, you can get, like, Hurts 2 rushing touchdowns is 9-to-1. I don't hate that. Barkley is plus 350, but at plus 270, and I'm getting either of them, I just think that that's a better value. My favorite bet by far, and obviously it's minus odds because of it, but Mahomes over 5.5 rushing attempts is minus 140. He's had at least 6 rush attempts in his last 5 postseason games. He's exceeded that number in every one of his Super Bowl, except for the loss to Tampa, and that was a game that he had 5 rush attempts in. If you remember, the Chiefs obviously were down throughout in that game, so that kind of limits some of that, especially like the kneel downs, which those count at the end of the game. I just think it's very safe. He goes over 5.5. Same thing for another Mahomes rushing prop. Alternate rushing of 40-plus yards is plus 180. He averages over 40 yards on the ground in conference championship and Super Bowl games for his career. He rushed for 43 yards against Buffalo last week in the AFC title game. He's had 40-plus rushing yards in each of the last 2 Super Bowls. And again, this is a Philadelphia team that they don't give up a lot of big explosive plays, meaning they're going to have these long, sustained drives. More snaps on these long drives mean more opportunities for Mahomes to, scramble to pick up first down. So I like that. Travis Kelce to be the first reception for the Kansas City Chiefs is plus 230. Again, I'm just going off the history. Kelce had the Chiefs' first reception in each of the last 2 Super Bowls. We talked about Xavier Worthy. I love this one as well. Over 1.5 rush attempts is plus 130. If you look, since they added Hollywood Brown, he has had 2 or more rush attempts in 4 of his last 5. And again, those count. If it say he catches a pass behind the line of scrimmage, which we've seen that happen quite a few times over the season. Same deal. I like the alternate rushing total at 15 or more yards is plus 235. For, again, the same reasons. I think he's going to get at least 2 carries. He is one of the most explosive runners. Philadelphia struggles sometimes in tackling and open field, so I like that. Kareem Hunt, anytime touchdown, is plus 135. He's scored now in 4 of his last 5 in both postseason games, so he's going to get the ball in the red zone. The Chiefs are not a team that sneak it like the Eagles do with Mahomes or Buffalo with Allen. They're going to give it to Kareem Hunt if they get in there close. And then the last 2, Noah Gray, alternate receiving yards. If you want to get safe, I like the 25-plus yards is plus 252. If you want to get frisky, 40-plus yards
I like to get frisky.
680. Well, it's plus 680. You're getting almost 7-to-1 odds. He's had 7 games.
What was the number?
So it's for 25 yards or more, it's plus 252. For 40 yards or more, it's plus 680. So you're getting almost 7-to-1 odds. Wow. And he's had 7 games this season with 25-plus receiving yards. And again, we just look at what the Eagles, they've really struggled the last couple of games with tight ends. And then my favorite bet, and I'm sorry, but this is just, we've seen this story before with the Chiefs. It's the Eagles to win the first half and the Chiefs to win the game at plus 750. This is hit in each of the last 2 Super Bowls.
That is what happens in the Super Bowl with the Eagles and their opponents.
And they have won 4 games just in the regular season in this manner as well. I love the value of that plus 750. Come on, let's be honest. You're telling me you can't see Philadelphia leading at the half.
Yeah.
And then Kansas City coming back and winning the game late, and you're getting almost 8-to-1 odds on that to happen, when, again, it happened in both the last 2 Super Bowl matchups, including the last one with these 2 teams.
Exactly. I mean, trends are trends for a reason, but, and it's that spot. It just seems, and the Chiefs more so this year than those other 2 years either. I mean, the regular season, if that's any indication how many times they've had to come back to win games. Little different strategy, a little different way to make it to the Super Bowl this year, but still the Chiefs being the Chiefs, no doubt about it. Well, lots of great prop action there, Keith. Give me a couple predictions here. Give me a who's going to win, and then what's going to be the final score for you.
I hate doing it. I want Philadelphia to win so bad.
Everybody except Chiefs fans does. And I despise Philadelphia.
Year, right?
Oh, David Hayes was on the Chiefs halfway through the season last year, all the way to the bank.
We were all doing those rankings, And
Baltimore will get them this year. Baltimore. Yeah. Oh, no, they won't. No, they won't.
I have learned my lesson. I'm not picking against them. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I said this last week going into the Bills game. I do think it's going to be close. I think, unfortunately, Philadelphia's going to get their heart broken. I think it's going to be a little lower scoring than people think. I have it 24-21. Both of these teams, again, they have a lot of long, sustained drives. They're both teams that are able to move the ball in small clips, and I just think that's playing, just like I said with Buffalo last week, right into Kansas City's hands, because when you got Patrick Mahomes and it matters at the end, he seems to always come through. So I have the Chiefs winning 24-21, but I would be happy for my Philadelphia Eagle, / Dogs if it goes the other way. And I do think Jalen Carter is the difference. If the Eagles win this game, it's going to be because Jalen Carter absolutely goes bananas, wrecking that offensive line.
As long as they don't hold him. Or as long as they don't not call when he gets held, because I'm tired of watching those montages from last year's Super Bowl and Nick Bosa being held around the neck and tackled to the ground and on critical plays. But that's neither here nor there. What do you think, real quick, Keith? I know we got about 30 seconds left. Looks like they're cutting Captain Kirk, and looks like the future for your Falcons is Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah, it's just another dumb thing by my Falcons. We're already invested. It's going to be $10 million you're saving by bringing Cousins back, and we now have. I love Penix. I think he's got a chance to be great, but he's had both knees redone.
Yeah.
He's 4 or 5 years old. What is it going to hurt to have Cousins on that roster as a backup?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Potentially a mentor to Penix. Again, we've already paid so much money. You're talking about $10 million. At the end of the day, that's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah,
when it's over $100 million in guaranteed money, right? So I don't totally understand that. And now I worry because we're the Falcons. Penix will get hurt early next season, and we'll be in the same. We always are.
Oh goodness! The way you describe that just could absolutely come to fruition. I hope it doesn't for you, but given the trends that you like to live in, certainly wouldn't be surprising. Keith, we appreciate your time. Enjoy Super Bowl 59, and I'm heading up your way, not your way, because we'll be staying up all the way up in Canton tomorrow for some scan action. So I will be passing by your neck of the woods up there tomorrow.
Be sure to wave, and if you guys have a chance, be sure to check out the Daily Fix on Fantasy and Frames tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Myself, Kevin, Joe, got some great guests, including the great Howard Bender and Chris Robin. We're going to talk the game, give a bunch of DFS single slate lineups, and talk our favorite props. That's 9 p.m. on Fantasy and Frames. Come hang out with us. Come say what's up in the chat. And I hope you guys really enjoy the game and have a great weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. You too, Keith. We appreciate you as always, and looking forward to debriefing the Super Bowl with you next Wednesday. You guys are listening to The Inside Drive. We got Aaron Bearden from Instant Replay Sports Cards coming up next.
It's the ESPN Northwest Florida Hall & Hearts Magic Express.
Hey, Sean, you just won the Hall & Hearts Magic Express to see the Orlando Magic play at the Kia Center.
Oh, my goodness.
You're riding the Magic Express for the ultimate road trip.
I'm in shock right now.
Sponsored by PCB Hobby, Panama City Toyota, Hall & Hearts, and Fairfield Hampton Inn on Thomas, and Home 2 Suites. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The remainder of the day, partly cloudy and slightly foggy, and a temperature of 69 with wind 5 to 10 miles per hour out of the south. Some fog causing poor visibility tonight, a light breeze and quite warm near 63. A variety of slight fog and some clouds, and 71 tomorrow. 72 and a variety of slight fog and some sun Saturday. This is your Thursday's weather brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Do you want to eat like a local? The Local 115 is now open. Local drinks, local sports, and local food. Delicious oysters, crab cakes, steamed seafood, gumbos, salads, paninis, wings, wine, and cold beer. Nothing fried. That's right. No fried foods at Local 115. Amazing local food with an exciting local sports and mural theme. Eat like a local at the Local 115. Drive, 115 Harrison Avenue, downtown Panama City.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us at the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
We're betting the limit and covering the spread. The Inside Drive with Ryan and Jay. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios.
Thank you. Nice to be in Vegas.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Just a reminder, no show tomorrow as I will be traveling up there to the great city of Atlanta, Georgia. Well, Canton, technically. So we had to make sure we got Aaron Bearden on this week, and we've got him on now a day earlier than usual. Aaron, how are you doing on this spectacular Thursday afternoon?
All right, man, I'm excellent. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Absolutely. All right, let's dive right into it. What kind of new releases we got in the shop this week? I know there's been some, you guys continue to be just pull after pull after pull in there. I just keep following you guys on social media, and I'm waiting for one of those pulls to happen for me or Liam, but it seems like you guys keep the big pulls coming there at Instant Replay.
Yeah, we had that big Jackson Holiday this week. That was really cool.
That was sweet.
As far as new releases, I'll tell you what, though, next week is going to be the big one. That's what everybody's waiting for. That's 2025 Topps Series 1 baseball. So get to see some 25 baseball for the first time.
Ooh, just in time for
to the punch.
Pitchers and catchers are reporting here pretty soon, I think. A couple weeks probably. So, but following right in line with that. That is for sure. Another thing I saw there on your Facebook page, you guys can follow Instant Replay on Facebook. You just search up Instant Replay Cards, and you'll find them right there, talking about all their specials, events coming up, different things going on. I saw you had a Panini NFL Player of the Day starts tomorrow, I believe. Can you tell everybody about that a little bit? I'm very curious myself.
Yeah, it's a really fun contest that we run on behalf of Panini, and one of the stores chosen to do this. Then basically what it comes down to is Panini selects a list of players, one for each team, and it's one for each day. You come in, and we've got a list right there of who that day's player will be. You open up a pack of Panini football cards, and if you pull any card of that player, whether it's an autograph or their card or, something with, the league leaders or something like that, as long as they're on it, you win a prize, which is a pack of Player of the Day cards. It's a special pack that you can't get anywhere else, and it has cards in it that are made just for this promotion. They have all kind of cool special stuff in there. When you win like that, your name goes on a list of winners for the shop, and we do some drawings throughout and give away some even better prizes. And at the end of it, we have one grand prize winner for our store. And all the grand prize winners nationwide get in a drawing, and Panini starts giving out some really big stuff at that point. Some autographed memorabilia, some free boxes of cards, card shopping sprees, and usually there's a grand prize, which will be something like, maybe a trip to a game or a chance to meet a player, and Panini will throw a party for you and some friends. The player shows up, they sign autographs, take pictures, all kind of cool stuff. So it's a great way to try to win some extra fun things just for opening some cards up.
Very, very cool. Kind of little added value, so to speak, coming from the NFL, Panini's NFL Player of the Day. I know we did talk about it last week, but I just love it so much. I want to talk about it again this week, and that's the fact that you guys are an authorized dealer with CGC, obviously known to be one of the leading companies for comic books, but also certainly experts in sports and trading card grading. And now that they are owned by part of Fanatics, They are poised to be the sports card grading company of the future, and you guys are an authorized dealer with them. CGC also owns JSA, which comes to the shop there, at least once a year, sometimes twice a year, to do authentication right then and there. They also own JSA, so their services will be available for any autographed collectibles that are submitted to CGC. And tell everybody why this is so important. Like, obviously if you have cards and you want to get them graded and you're trying to do it on your own, you could use one of the many companies that are out there, but you've got to figure out what the value of the card is. You've got to send it in. Some of these companies take forever. If you're only sending 1 or 2 cards in at a time, that could be a little expensive. You may not get the value out of that when you send that card in and get it back. But with you guys being an authorized dealer, if you've got 1 card or if you got a whole set up to 1,000 cards you want to have and get graded, it's something that you guys can handle and save the customer some money on it as well.
Yeah, certainly. Plenty of great reasons to get cards graded. Obviously, probably the main one people are doing right now, getting them graded just to increase the value. People pay a little more for graded card because they know that someone, recognized as an expert has examined the card, found it to be, hopefully in perfect condition, but at least whatever condition it's in, they're saying, this is it. There's no hidden defects. You're not going to buy the card and years later look at it and go, wait a second, I didn't notice that was on it. They're gonna put it in a case that is tamper proof. You can break it out of there if you want, but it's no longer sealed. So forever that card is going to be a Mint 9 or Gem Mint 10 or whatever it happens to be. It's also the best protection you can get for a card. These things are UV protected. They are waterproof. They're airtight. There's nothing better you can put the card in. The other reason a lot of people do it is for, say, like insurance purposes. If you've got, maybe granddad's old card collection or something like that, and you just have some really nice cards yourself, you get them graded, they're documented, they've got a serial number, it goes on that company's website. For CGC, for example, they take pictures front and back of the card and store it on their website. So you just have a better record of exactly what your card is if you ever need it. And hey, we live in an area with some natural disasters, let's be honest.
Yep.
If you ever needed proof, hey, I had this card and it was a Gem Mint 10, and that's really easy to look and see that's worth X amount of dollars. Rather than just saying I had a card collection and your insurance company going, well, it's really hard to prove what you had.
Yeah, no doubt. That's kind of catalogs it for you, and it lives out there in the cloud, and you always know you can fall back on that if need be. Some of the hot items right now, and I reference them all the time, kind of those solo packs that you've got on the counter there at Instant Replay, and one of those is the Leaf Pro Set Pure Solo Pack, which I want to say is around $40-ish, but certainly guaranteed, usually an either autographed number and sometimes an autographed or number. And you had a pretty spectacular pull go down last Friday, and you guys posted on your site. Pretty incredible card, a 2 out of 2 Pro Set Pure with both Caleb Williams autograph and Jaden Daniels autograph on there. Last 2 Heisman Trophy, or excuse me, they were not the last 2 Heisman Trophy winners, but back-to-back Heisman Trophy winners, because obviously the Heisman Trophy winner this year was not Jaden Daniels, as he was a rookie in the NFL. But, talk about some of those packs. If you're not ready to buy the hobby box or the mega box or the jumbo box, but you're just wanting to dabble with a little nicer product, which it is, obviously, and you're paying a little bit more of a premium for one card, but you're certainly getting something. And I feel like in these sets, you guys have had some monster pulls as of late.
Yeah, that Leaf Solo product, it's kind of a new offering from Leaf. It's something they've been putting out over the past 6 months or so with a lot of their releases. So normally, if those of you who are not familiar, Leaf will put out a box, and maybe it's got 5 to 10 cards in it, and the majority of them will be autographs. And those boxes usually will be, $150 to $250, something like that. So they're making a product called a Solo Pack, which usually has 1 card. In this case, it has 2. But it's the same cards that are in those other boxes, but you now have the option to buy like a pack with just 1 of those cards. As you said, you can kind of dip your toe in the water and see if you like that product, or just buy what fits your budget, or maybe just buy till you get what you like. We've had customers center and open, one after another, and they open 3 or 4, they get an autograph they like, and they're done. And they still don't have to buy a full hobby box. I was talking to the CEO of Leaf a couple of weeks ago about that product. We were on the phone talking about it, and he said, a lot of people maybe had not gotten the message, thinking that the hobby box of Leaf is where they put all the really good, those, Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams and all those guys, and they thought maybe the solo packs were just lesser cards. And he said that actually it's not at all the case. He said they printed the entire print run, and basically just like half of it went in hobby boxes, half of it went in solo boxes or solo packs.
Yep.
And he said it's just as good of stuff. And I told him we've had this card pulled now. We had a triple 1-of-1 with Jaden Daniels and I think Caleb Williams and maybe Bo Nix on it. We've had the 1-of-1. There was Joe Montana, Steve Young, and Brock Purdy all autographed on the same card.
Which was the one that had Jeff Garcia on it too? Was that a Leaf Pure or was that a Leaf Pro?
It was a Pro Set Pure. I don't recall if that was in a solo pack or in a hobby box.
Okay, that might have been in a hobby box. Gotcha.
But it did come out of the same product, though. But so we've had some really amazing cards come out of those little solo packs for, like I said, about $40. The Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams that came out, that's probably an $800 or $900 card to come out of that $40 pack. So if people have been really happy once they've learned about it and decided to take a chance with them, a lot of really great cards in there without having to dip into those really big boxes.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's the thing. I mean, there's something for everybody, whether you're wanting to get, as many cards as you can, best opportunities, or just focusing in and, spending your money a little more wisely, for lack of a better term. I know you guys had Pokemon last Saturday, trade and league night. How'd that one go?
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun. So for those of you who don't know, we have started a new Pokemon League right here at Instant Replay. Everybody's welcome to come out and play in the Pokemon League. In addition, we also have our Pokemon Trade Night. And for those of you maybe parents out there a little concerned about, where do you take your kid to trade their cards and all that, hey, it's a family-friendly environment. We look after the kids. We kind of try to limit the trading, kids trading with kids, adults trading with adults. We don't want anybody's kid to, sort of be pressured into trading a big card mom and dad paid for, or, just maybe doing a one-sided trade. So we do try to keep an eye on that a little bit, make sure everybody has a good time, make sure they have a good feeling about any trades they might have made, and also just meet a lot of other collectors. It's great for kids to hang out with other kids that are into the same thing they're into.
No doubt.
So, yeah, it's been a fun event. We're going to keep it going.
Very, very cool. And speaking of the events that you have, obviously Pokemon Trade and Game Night will be keeping on going. And then, of course, you've got Rip Night as well as the Big Break. I'm assuming coming up here a little bit in this month, as we're already in the month of February.
Yeah, well, Rip Night this month is going to be incredible. It will be sponsored by Topps, which they do 1 to 2 per year that they officially sponsor. We just kind of run with the rest of them. So this one's going to have some big-time Topps prize support. Some things we have never been able to get from Topps before that they're going to be offering now. And I say this because we had one of the top guys from Fanatics in our shop just a couple of days ago.
Nice.
He was on his way to the Super Bowl. Fanatics is going to have a presence there. And he emailed me before, and he was like, hey, can I stop by the shop? And we were able to hook him up with some things. They're doing something for the Make-A-Wish Foundation at the Super Bowl. So he got a list of some of the kids' favorite players. We hooked him up with some really cool cards to hand out. And so he was able to give us a little bit of insight on what's going on with Rip Night this month. Do not miss this one. I know there's a lot of events going on. It's going to be on the 22nd, 5 p.m. Make sure you're there. It's going to be some just very fun stuff that we've never had to offer before. That will also be the week of release for Topps Chrome Football.
Ooh,
it'll be the first time that's been out in 10 years.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
So
those Chrome cards are
We're hoping to
fantastic.
make that a part of Rip Night as well. So definitely, space is going to be limited on this one.
Yeah.
So get there early. Definitely do not get there late, whatever you do.
If you've never done a Rip Night before and have been wanting to do one, this certainly sounds like the one that you want to be a part of, no doubt. And then Big Break coming up later this month as well.
Yeah, we will get to that as well. I know I'm so far behind in getting those listed. I always try to get them listed by the first of the month. We may just push it back a week and to give everybody some time to get in on it and, scrape those pennies together and get an early bird spot. But it will be a baseball big break. Right now, part of the problem has just been a lot of the companies over the holidays, they shut down for a while, and they have not gotten back up to producing a bunch of stuff and getting it out to stores. So, a lot of the prices are up, a lot of the supply is down. So if we're doing things like big breaks and all, it's a little tighter than it was, say, a year ago, but it's going to start catching up now. So, yeah, it should be a really fun big break. Hopefully we can include some Series 1 tops in that as well. Looking forward to some big cards coming out of that.
Very, very, very cool. And you can always stay up to date at InstantReplaySportsCards.com or follow their Facebook page. That's Instant Replay Sports to check out all the latest upcoming events. And there's also ways to get into those as well, like the big break you can purchase right online. And you want to definitely take advantage of that early bird special. Aaron, obviously, we're normally with you on Fridays, but, for some people looking for some stuff to do tomorrow night, obviously you guys got Kids Club coming up tomorrow night, so tell everybody about that as you always do.
Yeah, Kids Club, Friday night, 6 o'clock. Bring those kids down. We do baseball breaks, football breaks, very affordable, talking like $10 or less for the kids. We throw them a bunch of extra product. So they get to take home a lot of cards. They get to hang out and trade with other kids. It's a really fun event. And some cool opportunities there as well. We mentioned we have Kids Club T-shirts available for purchase. You purchase that Kids Club shirt, you wear it into the shop, you get a discount on packs when you come in. There's a way to make some money off just having the shirt off a one-time purchase. But yeah, bring them in on a Friday night. Come hang out and see what Kids Club's all about.
Awesome. Well, Aaron, I appreciate you rearranging your normal Friday to Thursday, and look forward to talking to you at our normal time next week. Last question for you. Who do you got in the Super Bowl, Chiefs or Eagles?
Oh, man, that's a tough one.
I know.
Right?
It almost needs to be who do you want to win and who do you think will win? Because I think
it seems pretty evenly matched.
Yeah, -1 right now for the Eagles. Spread's very close.
Yeah, part of me, just because I always say this with sports, it's healthy to have, different people winning, and it's for the good of the sport. You don't need the same team winning 10 times in a row. It's just, for a lot of reasons, it's bad. So I sort of want to see the Eagles get there, but you know what? As a Niner fan,
I hear you. I hear you.
I'm just
it's the lesser of two evils at this point. Obviously there's been a rivalry with Philadelphia the last couple of years, and the Chiefs just have our number when it comes to the Super Bowl. So it's kind of.
Hey, if anybody knows how to pull off a big Super Bowl upset, David against Goliath, it's Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Hopefully they can rely on the feet there of Saquon Barkley to bring them to the promised land. But Aaron, we appreciate your time as always. We'll look forward to talking to you next Friday as well. Get on down to Instant Replay Sports Cards, Stanford Station Shopping Plaza, right there off 23rd Street next to Academy Sports and Outdoors and the Sweet Frog Creamery. Aaron, we appreciate you. Have a great weekend.
Hey, thank you guys. Everybody take care. Be safe.
That's it. Final segment of this Thursday coming up next. You guys are listening to The Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida is the Panhandle's official radio home for Super Bowl 59.
Kansas City Chiefs.
10-yard touchdown run by Mahomes.
Versus the Philadelphia Eagles.
Touchdown! Saquon Barkley!
Super Bowl Sunday coverage starts at 1.
Kickoff at 5:30 p.m.
Listen live in a rich audio experience on your home for the NFL in Super Bowl 59. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Reliable Copy Products is proud to be the exclusive dealer in Northwest Florida for Kyocera office equipment. Reliable Copy Products has been committed to providing professional, personalized service for the last 35 years. They understand that the right equipment does not always fall within today's budget requirements, so they offer several options for the equipment you need today for the growth you expect tomorrow. Call James Smothers at 784-6601. 784-6601. Reliable Copy Products on Harrison Avenue, just north of Bay High School.
Hi folks, I'm Tracy from Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Love is in the air at Tracy's Fine Jewelry, and what better way to celebrate love than with a beautiful piece of jewelry? Our Valentine collection combines the most popular trends and top sellers with the largest selection at the best prices. From exquisite fine jewelry to our most trendy and affordable sterling silver pieces, we're sure to have the perfect gift to melt her heart. Folks have trusted us for 50 years to make their Valentine sparkle. This year, make it sparkle even more with a gift from Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
Is your restaurant looking a little tired from the long off season? Is your office a little offish? Start the new year off right by giving them a fresh start. Fresh Start Cleaning is now accepting new clients. Ask about their complimentary hood cleaning services. Fresh Start Cleaning. Get clean again with Fresh Start. Call 850-771-6917, 771-6917, and ask about their complimentary hood cleaning services.
If you're not scanning while the cashier is begging, we're judging you a little.
Why am I working at the grocery store now?
It's the Inside Drive with Ryan and Jay. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios at ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm going to start with some Waste Management Phoenix Open statistics for you there, David Hayes, as the Waste Management Phoenix Open is underway today over there in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Under 7.5 arrests.
Well, it's funny you should say something about arrests because we're about to dive into a little bit of statistics. Obviously, one of the big stories last year from the waste, as many people call it, the Wasted Management Phoenix Open, is people just started coming through. They were letting everybody into VIP skyboxes, and it just got out of control, and it got out of control quickly. Well, what the Waste Management Phoenix Open has decided to do is increase drink prices by 40% from last year to this year.
So what do you think that puts it at? Where do you think they were? Probably about $20 probably for a beer? Somewhere around there?
I would say something like that.
So what does 40% bring you up to after that?
Well, 40% of 20 is what, $8-ish?
Yeah,
so you're looking at almost $30 for a beer. You would like to think that would curb that. Now, you still have the people that have the VIP stuff with open bars, but some statistics. We'll go back to the 2022 Waste Management Phoenix Open. Calls for, this is from the Scottsdale Police Department. Calls for service in 2022, 440. 0 arrests, 90 ejections, and 14 trespasses. 2023 calls for service went up to 558. Went from 0 arrests to 18 arrests. Went from 90 ejections to 102 ejections. Went from 14 trespasses to 41 trespasses. Here's where it gets wild. In 2024, which was last year's notable event of just out of controlness, calls for service went up to 653. Arrests went from 0 in 2022 to 54 in 2024.
Holy cow.
Ejections went from 90 in 2022 to 211.
Doubling up.
Last year. More than double. Trespasses went from 14 in 2022 to 73 in last year's Waste Management Phoenix Open. So,
do you think they beat those numbers this year, or do you think they've got it curbed down this year?
I mean, I know last year, even for them, it got out of control. So I think they're going to try to really parlay this thing back down to get it back to what they expect. But
because if they break those numbers or those records, if you will, if they break that again this year, then does the PGA Tour step in and say, hey, maybe we take a year off? There's no way though.
No,
that's one of the biggest.
It's such, and I don't know if it's a signature event or not.
But it's thought of like a signature event.
Yeah,
like
it's
maybe top 15 events.
Oh, easily. Just because, and it's because of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is you don't want it to affect the atmosphere. I just imagine people trying to sneak more booze in different ways. And, instead of throwing a $20 Michelob Ultra bottle thing out there if somebody makes a hole in one, now they're going to be throwing a $30 one out there. But, pretty wild stuff. The tournament gets underway today. Always a fun one. Great golf course, a lot of good holes, and, just fun to watch. But hopefully these steps don't, take away from, that part of the event.
Right.
Because, I mean, obviously, it's been kind of building and building and building. They keep building this arena around 16 bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's something they want, but there has to be, I guess, the both sides of that particular coin.
Well, it kind of reminds me of spring break in Panama City and like what it used to be.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they put in the efforts to kind of calm it down a lot. And it's worked for a large
doubt.
part. So, you know, I think that's what Waste Management is going to have to do. I don't think that increasing even 40%, because for people like me, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? But a lot of the people that are going to these events, they, you know, $8 is a drop in the bucket to them.
Well, and on 16 too. I mean, 16 is got tons of these VIP boxes and sky boxes and all these corporate areas where the corporations have already paid for that box, and it's, you know, an open bar kind of thing, and that's where, you know, it gets a little dicey and gets a little exciting, that kind of stuff.
My biggest thing, obviously, you know, you hate to see the numbers of all the arrests going up and everything, but I really, and I'm a fun-loving person, but I hate seeing beer thrown, like when there's players, like it's dangerous, especially when it's the cans. The cups aren't as bad, but still, I mean, you know, that thing gets a little jagged and hits one of the players, that could be bad.
Yeah, not good. Not good indeed. All right, I'm going to switch over to some high school sports. We're going to start with this was the 5A District 1 tournament. We already talked about that Arnold had lost to Pine Forest 61-53. So Booker T. Washington ended up playing Pine Forest in the semis, and Mosley had a bye into the second round and ended up playing Chalk-Tahatchee. I believe that was yesterday, and they lost that one 53-37. Hopefully Mosley or Arnold still get a bid into the regional tournament. We'll find out about that as we progress throughout this month. The 5A District 1 Championship will feature Booker T. Washington and Chalk-Tahatchee. That'll be played at Escambia High School on Friday at 7 p.m. Then we move on to the 5A State Tournament in soccer. Arnold beat Ponte Vedra. I believe that was Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. They beat them 3-1. They move on to play Fleming Island. That'll be at home tomorrow night there at Gavlac Stadium. Make sure you get out there. This could be most likely will be the last home game there at Gavlac Stadium, as the winner of that game moves on to the I guess that would be the quarterfinals of the state tournament, the regional final. The winner of Booker T. Washington and Beachside, and if Booker T. Washington beats Beachside, Booker T. Washington's the number 1 seed, so they would be hosting Arnold in that one.
Wow!
But if Beachside wins, then Arnold would host another playoff game. Now, first off, Arnold has to beat Fleming Island first in that one. But get out there. It's a great Friday night, cheap Friday night date, and it's going to be a beautiful night, too, so no excuses that it's going to be cold. Usually, these playoff games in soccer this time of year, you got to bundle up and even sometimes bring propane heaters. So, again, that'll be at Gavlac Stadium tomorrow night, Friday night, 7 p.m., and if you want to watch some fantastic soccer, too, it's a great opportunity.
It's amazing that they're just year in and year out, right there, a mainstay in the playoffs.
I mean,
when are they going to let them host the championship, the state tournament?
Right? They should at this point. Maybe one day. But I mean, and we had Jonah on not too long ago, Coach Hammond, and they lost 9 players out of the 11 starters from last year, and here they are again making another great run. So hopefully the run can continue, and we can support those Arnold Marlins boys soccer players all the way through the state final. 4A District 1 boys basketball. Bay looked good last night. Kind of never looked back. Got a lead early against Pensacola. I think they were up by 5 at half. Extended that lead all the way to 18 points to finish that game, 66-48. Bay will now play in the 4A District 1 championship game coming up on Friday night as well. They will take on Fort Walton Beach, as Fort Walton Beach beat West Florida 53-41. So I believe that's going to be over there at Bay High. Fortunately, I don't know the name of the gym over there. Maybe David Hayes can.
Cobb Gymnasium.
Cobb Gymnasium. All right, there you go. So get another great opportunity to go support some local athletes right here in our own backyard. Moving on to the 3A District 1 tournament. Bozeman had beat Freeport 79-68 to move on to the semifinal. They went up against a good South Walton team and held in there for most of the game, but South Walton ended up winning 72-62 to knock Bozeman out of the 3A District 1 tournament. Hopefully Bozeman still gets a bid into the regional tournament. And And then on the other side, you had Walton, who had beat North Bay Haven 45-33. They played Pensacola Catholic, who beat Rutherford 54-49 in the quarters. Walton beat Pensacola Catholic 59-48. So it'll be a Walton championship in the 3A District 1 tournament with South Walton hosting Walton.
It's the William Harrison Jr. Athletic Complex.
Ooh, the William Harrison Jr. Athletic Complex.
Right there off of Harrison?
I'm going to guess that's the same Harrison. That would make sense. Just one day down the road, maybe we'll have the Coach James Hale way getting in there to Arnold. That'd be something.
That would be something. But you gotta. Do you call it Coach Hale Field or James Hale Field at Gavlak Stadium?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's someone's got their name on.
Yeah. I mean, all these basketball
like Saban,
courts
right?
have names on them.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, no doubt. The fishbowl. Oh,
the fishbowl. We'll have the Ryan Mulvey floor at Fishbowl Gymnasium.
I don't have anything to do with basketball, but maybe one day. All right, let's keep on keeping on here. This is the 3A Boys State Soccer Championship. Nothing going on coming up yet, but coming up on, I believe, the 11th is Tuesday night. North Bay Haven boys will be traveling to Florida State University High School to play the opening round game. That's the regional quarterfinal of the 3A state tournament, Region 1. The winner of that game will take on the winner of South Walton and Keystone Heights. So good luck to the boys Buccaneers as they start their state championship bid. Good to see so many soccer teams locally as well. Obviously, we talk about Arnold quite a bit, but not only North Bay Haven, but some other programs as well. Moving on to the 5A girls state tournament, and I almost forgot on Tuesday to mention them, but Mosley traveled all the way to Fleming Island back on, I believe that was on Monday, and they beat Fleming Island 2-1 to advance to play Ponte Vedra, who is unfortunately a big-time powerhouse from what people were telling me. But Mosley will be traveling to play them tomorrow night at a 6 p.m. kickoff there. And I think all these games, if you subscribe to that NHF or whatever it is, NFHSAA network, you can see the streams of all these games if you can't make the trip to get out there. So that is a regional semifinal. Mosley has an opportunity to move on to the regional finals, but certainly against a formidable opponent in Ponte Vedra. All right, we've also got the 3A tournament in the girls' side. Another North Bay Haven team, the North Bay Haven Buccaneers, will also play on Tuesday at 6 p.m. They will be hosting Fernandina Beach in the opening round, which is the regional quarterfinal. Again, that is a 3A state tournament, Region 1 quarterfinal. Winner of that game will take on the winner of Pensacola Catholic in Santa Fe. Didn't know we had a Santa Fe here in Florida. That feels more like a New Mexico kind of
New Mexico. I was going to say Mexico.
Well, I'm sure there's a Santa Fe in actual Mexico as well. But and also want to mention, for all those listening on 101.9 down there in Port St. Joe, Port St. Joe has got a big game coming up. I think it's tonight. Yeah, it's tonight. Don't know what time it is. It doesn't have listed on Max Preps yet, but they had a victory in their district tournament against Franklin County, 63-27. The Port St. Joe Tiger Sharks have had a fantastic year on the hardwood for the boys basketball team. 21-4 so far, and an opportunity to win their district tournament coming up tomorrow night against Crossroad Academy. And that rounds out all the teams still alive or playing district tournaments, whatever it may be. Get out there to Harders Park tonight. Lots of big-time flag football games coming up. Big shout-out to Team Dynasty. Big shout-out to Worm Brown and Cortez Bowers, I believe is his name. And looking forward to having a great flag football game with the Hurricanes and those fine gentlemen coming up tonight. Afternoon Underdogs coming up from 4 to 6 p.m. I know you're going to be maybe throwing on some. I
think we'll run till 5:40.
Because they moved the game up a little bit, and warm-ups are certainly important for everybody out there. And looking forward to having a lot of fun tonight. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Again, just a reminder: no show tomorrow, but Wrestling versus Cancer 10 is coming up this Saturday. Doors open at 5:30, right there at Bay Haven Charter Academy. All the proceeds going to Ryan Holland's medical expenses, and don't forget Triple D Diamond or DDP.
DDP.
Double D, 1P. Coming right there to sign some autographs with proceeds of that also going to Ryan Holland's medical expenses. So if you're looking for something to do on Saturday night, go out there and support a wonderful cause. We appreciate y'all tuning in to the Inside Drive. Have a great rest of your day and enjoy the Super Bowl right here on ESPN Northwest Florida on Sunday.
ESPN Northwest Florida is the Panhandle's official radio home for Super Bowl 59.
Kansas City Chiefs
10-yard touchdown run by Mahomes.
versus the Philadelphia Eagles.
Touchdown! Saquon Barkley!
Super Bowl Sunday coverage starts at 1.
Kickoff at 5:30 p.m.
Listen live in a rich audio experience on your home for the NFL in Super Bowl 59.